Every day you're bombarded with claims, studies, and facts. Some are rock solid, and others are completely fabricated. Most fall somewhere in between. Here's a systematic approach to evaluate what's credible and what's questionable. A skill that will serve you for life. Not all sources are created equal. Understanding the hierarchy helps you weigh information appropriately. Primary sources are your gold standard. The actual research paper, not the news article about it. The historical document, not the documentary about it. The data itself, not someone's interpretation. But remember, even primary sources have limitations. Eyewitnesses? Sometimes they misremember things. Documents can be forged. Data can be manipulated. Now, secondary sources interpret the primary source. A journalist explaining a study. A historian analyzing the documents, right? A scientist reviewing research. These add valuable context and expertise, but they also add a layer of interpretation. Sometimes that interpretation clarifies, while others it distorts. The third layer of sources summarizes everything else. Wikipedia, textbooks, most social media posts. They're convenient, like nice little starting points, but never should be your ending point. Use them to orient yourself, but then go and dig deeper. Now, who funded this information? It's one of the most important questions you can ask. When pharmaceutical companies fund drug studies, positive results are published 85% of the time. When independent researchers study the same drug, positive results drop to 50%. That's not a coincidence. This doesn't mean the industry-funded research is automatically false. Some of our best science comes from corporate labs, but it does mean you need to look a little closer. Check the disclosure statement. Look for conflicts of interest. When someone profits from you believing something, raise your evidence standards, right? Here's what to look for. This study was funded by fill in the blank, or Dr. Smith has received consulting fees from whatever. The author declares no conflict of interests. These statements, they really do matter. Headline screams, revolutionary study changes everything. But dig deeper. How many participants? What demographics? What conditions? Small studies can identify patterns worth investigating. A study of 30 people might spot something important. But it can't prove broad truths. Now, large studies, they can. They can reveal what's really happening. Hundreds or even thousands of participants. But be sure to consider context. A study of 12 people with a rare disease, it might be groundbreaking. A study of 12 people claiming coffee cures cancer or causes cancer? Not so much, right? Remember, one person's story doesn't reveal a pattern. My grandfather smoked and lived to 95. That doesn't disprove the dangers of smoking. Studies of millions of people do, right? So, personal experiences, they matter to us emotionally, but patterns across populations, that's what reveals the truth. Here's something most people don't know. A single study, no matter how well it's done, actually proves very little. Real knowledge comes from replication. Different fields face different challenges. Physics experiments replicate well. Gravity works the same in Tokyo as it does in Toronto. But human studies? Only 40% of psychology studies replicate. About 60% of medical studies do. That's not fraud, it's just the messy reality of studying complex systems. This is why meta-analysis matters, right? They combine dozens or even hundreds of studies revealing patterns across the entire, all of the research, right? One study finding that coffee extends life, that's interesting. But 40 studies showing the same thing? Now we're talking. When you see studies show, ask yourself, how many studies? Who conducted them? And do they all agree? Here's a practical framework used by universities worldwide. CRAP. CRAAP. It's an unfortunate acronym, but it's a powerful tool. First is currency. When was this published? Medical advice from 2010 might be outdated. Political polling from last year? That's ancient. But philosophical arguments from ancient Greece? That might still be relevant today. Time affects different information differently. Next is relevance. Does this actually apply to your situation? A study on retired athletes might not apply to office workers. Research from Finland might not translate to Phoenix. Context is everything. Then we have authority. Who's behind the information? And what's their relationship to it? Someone with direct research experience brings different insights than someone interpreting that research. But remember, authority informs credibility. It doesn't determine truth. Nobel Prize winners, they've been wrong, right? Amateurs have made breakthrough discoveries. Use expertise as one factor among many, never as your sole decision point. Next is accuracy. Can you verify this everywhere or elsewhere? Do other credible sources agree? If only one source makes a claim, be suspicious. Truth typically leaves traces across multiple sources, right? And finally, purpose. Why does this exist? To inform, to sell, to persuade, to entertain? A company's environmental report serves different purpose than an academic study. Neither is automatically wrong, but knowing the purpose helps you evaluate the content. Now let's apply this to something real. Let's say you see a headline, chocolate improves memory. Well, first find the primary source, not the blog post, the actual study. Check the journal. Is it peer reviewed? That's a good sign. Check the funding. The chocolate manufacturer? Might want to take note. Independent foundation? That's better. Sample size? 20 or is it 2,000? What's the age range? Health status? How long did they track them? Has anyone replicated this? Search for meta-analysis on chocolate and cognition, right? What's the pattern across studies? Finally, even if it's true, does it matter? Maybe chocolate improves memory by 2%. Is that worth the sugar and calories? Evidence evaluation includes weighing practical significance, not just statistical significance. Evaluating evidence is a skill that improves with practice. You don't need to be perfect, just better than yesterday. You won't catch every misleading claim, and that's okay. The goal isn't paranoid skepticism. It's calibrated confidence. Start small. Pick one claim that you encountered today. Apply these tools. Check the sources. Follow the money. Look for replication. Run the crap test, right? Critical thinking isn't about dismissing everything or trusting nothing. It's about proportioning your confidence to the evidence. Strong claims require strong evidence. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And now you have the tools to tell the difference. This is how you build intellectual immunity in an age of information overload. One evaluated claim at a time. Next video, we'll be talking about your cognitive dissonance and why your brain tends to rewrite history.